From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. A management plan for the vast National Petroleum Reserve Alaska splits an Indiana-sized area roughly in half between conservation areas and land available for petroleum development.
It also allows pipelines carrying oil or gas to be constructed through the reserve. Interior Secretary Ken Salazar announced the plan today. Alaska Senators Lisa Murkowski and Mark Begich both said the plan will have a negative impact on the state. Congressman Don Young said it will do nothing but further restrict potential oil and gas development in the reserve.
Late Wednesday, the Alaska State Troopers released the names of the 2 men involved in a fatal motor vehicle collision near mile 345 of the Parks Highway. According to Trooper Sergeant Brian Wassman, a 2003 Volkswagen driven by 21-year-old David Uden of Fairbanks collided with a 2006 Kenworth tractor with a tanker in tow driven by 25-year-old Michael Looper of Eagle River. In a news release, troopers say Uden was driving southbound on the Parks Highway when he lost control on a curve and entered the northbound lane as Looper was approaching. Looper was unable to avoid a collision and T-boned Uden's car. Troopers say Uden died at the scene. Looper was not injured.
Fairbanks District Attorney Michael Gray says his office will forward homicide charges to a grand jury panel next week. That's against a 48-year-old local man who authorities say brutally assaulted an elderly man that later died from his injuries. Alfred Harold Woods is being held without bail at the Fairbanks Correctional Center. He's charged with first-degree assault. Woods is accused of beating 68-year-old John Alexander on the Steese Highway community of Circle on January 12th. Alexander died about a month after the incident took place. Michael Gray spoke to the news center via telephone earlier today, and he confirmed that charges will be upgraded against Woods. However, he declined to say just what the charges will be.
The permission for the Alaska Development and Export Authority to get to work in regard to a planned North Slope natural gas trucking project is one step closer. The Alaska Senate Labor and Commerce Committee continued their meeting today after hearing public comment Tuesday in support of SB 23, a bill that would kickstart ADA into the financing and issuance of bonds for the project. The bill was stalled several times as Senate committee members tried to amend the bill, replacing language that specified Fairbanks versus more generic verbiage like Interior Alaska. Senator Peter Machicki of District O pushed for an amendment that would allow other projects be considered should an ADA-backed project not pan out.
What my amendment does is allow an evaluation. It delivers the same products for Interior Alaska, the build out of the system, storage of LNG, trucking or rail, and the regas facility. If the economics of the LNG liquefaction facility do not work out, it allows them to evaluate other projects to deliver the same product to the same communities, but delivers a more responsible comparison, if you will.
Ever since an earthquake in Japan triggered a tsunami that devastated whole communities in that country's northwest area, debris that was swept out to sea has been arriving on Alaska beaches. Much is still arriving, and questions remain about the impact it's having and whether it's toxic or even radioactive. Many wonder how much more can be expected and who will be responsible for the cleanup. Senator Lisa Murkowski has been pushing for answers to those questions.
We do need to be working with the state and the federal agencies to make sure that we are responding in a manner that is going to address the issues that we're dealing with. So much of it is yet unknown.
All right, so what do you think about the weather?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mike,
yeah.
what do you think about the weather?
Yeah, or Nick?
I don't even know if that's my weather jargon. I can't figure that one out at all. Basically, the best way to describe today was cloudy, gray, and a little bit of snowflakes here and there, but no real accumulation. On our satellite picture, you can see why. Again, most of the energy is staying way to the south of the main part of the state, so the jet stream is going to continue to take all that moisture into the southeastern sections. Some residual moisture hanging around. That combined with the cooler temperatures helping to squeeze any light snowflake activity out of it, but that's going to be going away over the weekend, so things are looking pretty good. And temperatures will be warming up too. In the lower 48, we got a lot of weather to talk about, a lot of big snowstorms and everything else going on. We'll tell you all about it when we come back with weather later on. Daryl, Stephanie?
You know, yeah, I was going to say the lower 48 has been having a lot of weather.
Some turbulent weather.
I like being meh.
That's
up
true.
Here.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, the Festival of Native Arts is getting underway.
And FedEx will give an aircraft to a local education program. Stay with us.
This edition of the Fairbanks Evening News is brought to you by Prospector Outfitters and by Kendall Auto of Fairbanks.
And welcome back. FedEx has donated 2 retired jets to the aviation maintenance programs at the UAF and UAA community and technical colleges. Having the jets at CTCS new hangar is expected to help revitalize the UAF aviation maintenance program, as well as for the students to learn and gain the experience on the same planes they're likely to encounter during their careers. Now, the jets will arrive next week.
There has been a flurry of activity at the end of Phillips Field Road as Ice Alaska prepares for their opening to the public next week. The News Center's own Mike Schultz has more.
Ice Alaska begins their 24th year next Tuesday. Ironically, the ice in Ice Alaska stands for Ice Carving Exhibitions. The main driving force behind this worldwide exhibition is Executive Director Dick Brickley, who says the origin of the event goes back to 1990.
And Ice Alaska actually formed in March of 1990, and it's formed under our 501c3 is under World Ice Association. This will be our 24th year. We've had 1 paid staff member for that. The rest of us are all volunteers.
Speaking of volunteers, Ice Alaska functions because of volunteers, and they come from everywhere.
Well, the artists all pay their own way. The volunteers all pay their own way. We have volunteers coming in out of South Carolina and Texas and Florida and North Carolina, Oregon, Washington, many different places. Over about 35 of them come in here. What we say is if they're accepted to come in and be a volunteer, we ask them that they have to stay at least 2 weeks. They have to pay their own way to Fairbanks. However, we'll house them and we'll feed them while they're here to help us out. And they're great helps. We have doctors and engineers and all sorts of people that actually come in and help the organization. And the organization it's owned by the volunteers based on the hours that they put in.
Tomorrow night, the blue jewel of the North, the ice. How the ice is formed and harvested. And the final product, the phenomenal ice carvings like no other place in the world. Mike Schultz, News Center 11.
Sporting the theme Unity Through Cultures, the 40th installment of the Festival of Native Arts kicked off this evening and runs through Saturday evening up on the campus of the University of Alaska Fairbanks. The 3-day festival celebrates Alaska Native dance and music through performances. Vendors are also showcasing and selling Native crafts and other items as well. Now, some groups practice all year long to prepare for their performance and the opportunity to share their culture with an audience of hundreds.
Beautiful way of expression. And 40th is going to be is going to be a really great event because there's people that have been returning, people that have going to be the first times performing at the Festival of the Native Arts, and it's going to be big.
The News Center will have more on the 40th anniversary celebration of the Festival of Native Arts this weekend during the Fairbanks Evening News and News Center final Saturday editions.
The Key Coalition of Alaska today held a campaign rally to advocate maintaining public policy decisions that impact people with disabilities but still can work, live independently, and participate in their communities. This afternoon, the rally was held inside of the Sadler's building and focused on this year's public policy and the need for urgent action. Around the state, different Key Coalition rallies were held to raise awareness for the lawmakers in Juneau to tackle the issues. Afterwards, the members marched along Cushman Street towards First Avenue.
Today, we have members down in Juneau having rallies. In other areas of the state, they're having rallies at the same time, while many of the Key Coalition members are in Juneau talking with our legislators about the legislative priorities that Key Coalition established for this year.
An effort to recall newly elected Republican Lindsey Holmes from her seat representing West Anchorage in the State House will kick off publicly this weekend in Anchorage. Holmes was reelected in November as a Democrat to a 4th House term, then announced in January she was switching parties. While she says she's the same moderate she's always been, some voters in her district say her turnabout amounts to a betrayal and that she's not fit for office. Anchorage physician Colleen Murphy is one of 3 people designated as a leader of the recall effort. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yes.
They elected her a Democrat, but then she switched right before the session. So, you know, obviously people are a little, mixed either way.
All right. Well, it looks like Joe is in the wings again.
Yeah, he is.
I think he's busy with b-ball.
He is. You know, it's this time of year, leading up to March Madness in the interior. It happens here as well. So Joe Cook coming back after the break. He's got a ton of basketball for you, as well as some NCAA championships to talk about the folks up on the Hill. That in sports after the break.
Brought to you by the Law Office of Rita T. Alley. Peace of mind through professional legal services.
Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here in the sports seat for you this evening. Hope you're having a good day, and to make it better, let's talk some sports. We start with the late season in high school basketball almost coming to a close. The state championship starting on March 16th, and area teams are trying to finish this season strong. Last night, the Lathrop Malamutes celebrated senior night, and the girls team righted some wrongs against North Pole, who had their number all season. It was close in the third with the Malamutes up only 1-2019, but they closed the quarter on a 9-0 run led by Ruthie Hebert. Hebert scored 10 of her 14 points in the second half. The lead would continue to grow as Arisha Talley, with a nice Euro step there, gives the Malamutes a double-digit lead. Jasmine White, the other senior, had a game-high 15. North Pole went cold and turned the ball over, which led to a 21-5 run by Lathrop, which was the difference as the girls win 45-33. Lathrop is now in first place in the MAC, but will play West Valley, who was second, next Tuesday.
This week was probably our best practice this year. The girls came out with intensity this week all day, and even pre-game practice was probably our best practice. They played with intensity yesterday. The intensity level was high. They just knew we had to have this one. We have a great offense if we run it, but when you have horses, you gotta let them run. You know what I mean? And that's what we do. We get out in transition, and we get out in transition and we run. But then we was able, when we couldn't get in transition tonight, we was able to settle down and run an offense, and it worked for us.
And the Lathrop Malamute boys, they honored their seniors as well before the game last night in their contest with North Pole. And the 4 seniors of Lathrop put on a show and had a memorable senior night. The Patriots tried to make a game of it early on with Anthony Gibson, Austin McCoy hitting some shots. But the Malamutes and all the seniors and the young guys contributed. Gabriel Cunningham set the tone with his 16 points. He had some nice assists too. Everett Green, another senior, had 14 points. And Tremont Washington scored 15 points for Lathrop. The Malamutes had a 21-7 lead at the end of the first quarter, and they cruised on senior night as 11 different players scored in the 74-35 victory.
And we all had fun out here. We just wanted to have fun tonight. It's all about us all having fun tonight. Yeah, it gives us some confidence going in the regionals. We should get that good confidence boost so we all click in when regionals and state come.
And just like the Nanick rifle team, who will be going to the NCAA championships, the UAF swim team will be sending a couple of their best to the big show. It was announced yesterday that sophomore Margot Adams and junior Bente Heller will be representing the Nanicks in Birmingham, Alabama at this year's swimming and diving championships on March 6th. Both swimmers made waves last year as Adams was second in the 100 butterfly and Heller was honorable mention in all freestyle sprints. This year, Adams will be in the 100 fly, an event she won last week at the PCSC championships. The 200 fly and the 100 free. Heller, who was ranked #1 in the nation in the 100 free this season, will be in all freestyle sprints. Heller is ranked 3rd in both the 100 free and 100 backstroke, and Adams is 4th in the 100 fly as well. And now the 2013 Iron Dog race is revving along, and teams are past the Nome halfway point of the race and are making their way towards downtown Fairbanks. Today in Unalakleet South, the front runners of the race so far, like Mark McKenna, one of the defending champs, and Dick Quam and Eric Quam in second, talked to our sister station KTUU Sports about the race so far.
Well, I hope they're holding up good, but we don't know until we leave again. They made it here, though. A long way to go, I guess. I feel good about it, though. we're a couple minutes apart and we're leading the race, so it was good.
We're looking pretty good, I guess. We got a couple little minor things, but to be expected after pounding through that wind drift chop that we did all day today. It was pretty harsh out there, hard on equipment. I mean, we're not looking bad. 4 minutes back out of first. You can't complain about that. I mean, it'd be nice to be in first, but I'm not going to complain. We still got a lot of racing yet to do. A lot of things are going to change yet in this race.
And here is the leaderboard for the Iron Dog. Right now, the team of Morgan and Olds and Caltech now just past McKenna and Van Meter, who are now in second, followed by Dick and Quam, George and Bartell, and Alkelstead and Johnson, rounding out the top 5 of the Iron Dog. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. For more KTVF sports, log on to Twitter, YouTube, webcenter11.com, and of course, you can download our mobile app. And stay cool, Alaska. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back into Fairbanks Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again. Time to take a look at the weather, and we'll start off again with one of our wonderful photographs sent in by our viewers. As you can see, this one's by Louis Shepard. We'll call it Red Sunset for obvious reasons. Again, a beautiful shot there, and if you have a photograph to share, by all means, send to Mike Schultz at KTVF11.com. Our numbers look like this out at the airport right now. Just mainly cloudy skies. 1 degree. That is our high for the day. The low last night, 4 below. Record high in 1997, 46 that day. Record low, 50 below in 1932. Sunrise at 8:28. Sunset 5:44 this afternoon, giving us 9 hours, 16 minutes. That's a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. Our latest map across the state showing again, looking at rain and snow across southeast Alaska. Temperatures cooling down a little bit to around Juneau, 38 degrees there. Elsewhere across the Gulf of Alaska, we're looking at cloudy skies from Anchorage to Kodiak. Foggy conditions around Bethel. Sunshine at Nome. Partly cloudy skies at Barrow at 17 below there. And Fort Yukon 9 below with partly cloudy skies also. Lower 48 weather, in case you didn't hear, we had a big winter snowstorm across the main part of the country. In fact, it's still snowing across many sections, all because of a huge storm we were watching come down the California coastline a little while ago, and now it's just turned into a massive snowstorm, ice storm, and very heavy rain and thunderstorms off to the south, all being circulated by this area of low pressure. This storm system, well, you can see the snowfall close to 2 feet in some areas of Kansas, and a lot of ice, a big problem there too, bringing down power lines. More snow expected all the way to Chicago tonight, about 8 inches of snow there. And the overall jet stream, once again, bringing all the storms in from the northwest, then across from the west to the east, and that's going to continue into next week. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. A little quieter weather to talk about there. The northern sections, partly cloudy and cold. Nome, a few clouds, and snow showers expected at Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at mainly snow showers. It's slowly diminishing for both Fairbanks and Healy. And over southeast Alaska, the rain and snow will continue. Mixed rain and snow for Juneau and rain in Ketchikan. Out to the southwest, we're looking at scattered snow showers for Cold Bay and Bethel, becoming mostly cloudy skies at Kodiak. And over south central regions, looks like light snow in Anchorage, scattered snow showers for Homer and Valdez. Well, all this week we've been talking with our kids from weather, from the kids from the Watershed School. But tonight we're going to have the teacher with an interesting weather fact.
Hello, I'm Mr. Merrill, and this is my 4th grade class here at Watershed School with an interesting weather fact to share with you. Class, we know that lightning is hot, but did you know that a bolt of lightning is estimated to be 6 times hotter than the surface of the sun, or close to 60,000 degrees?
And next week, we'll be visiting with the kids from Weller Elementary School. Thursday night, time for our road conditions. You can see here, not too good a shape at all the roads leading in and out of the Fairbanks area. Black ice, frosted pavement, and snow on the Parks Highway. Ice glaze, reduced visibility, and blowing and drifting snow on the Steese, Elliott, and Richardson highways. So keep that in mind if you're heading out tonight or tomorrow. Our forecast for tonight, periods of light snow, maybe another inch possible, 12 degrees below zero for the overnight low. Tomorrow's forecast, 2 degrees below, with snow showers slowly ending by the evening hours. And the weekend looks really good. As you can see here, temperatures warming up nicely to the low teens by Wednesday of next week, with overnight lows also rising, and no more snow expected in the forecast. We'll have a little more light snow tonight and then tomorrow, and after that it's looks like mainly just scattered clouds, and temperatures, like I said, much more comfortable, especially for the opening of the ice park next Tuesday.
Very exciting.
Yeah, not too bad for the sculptors, too, because they kind of wanted a little colder so the ice will keep, but at the same time not too warm.
And it's perfect weather for them. They're really happy today.
As long as we can keep the snow clear.
Looks good.
All right, sounds good. And that will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. As always, we are glad you could join us.
NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams is coming up next. And when you see news happen or have an idea for a story, call us at 458-1830.
All that weather we've been talking about, that's coming up next also on the Evening News. From all of us here at the News Center, have a good night. See you back here at 11.